So how does it feel, just obviously waking up in the morning thinking I'm Blackpool head coach and being back in the stadium and being back at Squires Gate?
Yeah, I mean, it's taken some time to real bed in. I think I've always felt some kind of destiny towards me having this role. And look, I take no pride in what's been happening so far this season, and I don't ever like to see coaches or managers or staff lose their jobs. And as I said, there has to be ownership across the board for that. It's not just down to the staff. I have a huge amount of respect for Steve. I think he's an incredible man and an incredible manager that's had a fantastic career. But the players, as I said, have some responsibility towards that, and we have to make them understand that being where we are right now isn't acceptable. And it's my job and opportunity to turn this around and give them the confidence they need to start improving performances and in turn improving results.
Yeah, we have to be bluntly honest. There's no hiding away from the fact the club is bottom and that performances have been below what they should be.
No, and look, I've shared with them my feelings on the season so far. I've shared with them some data to back up what I was saying. And as I said, they have to take some ownership of that. But that isn't, to knock them down or beat them with a stick. It's to make them understand that from now we have an opportunity to change things and make sure that this gets better pretty quickly. And what I've seen on the training pitch, they're really engaged. They've really enjoyed it. I think they've understood where I'm coming from. I think if you speak to any player that I've worked with in the past, I've always managed to build a really strong connection with them. I've really had that respect and that honesty, and I think honesty in football is rare, but when you've got it, it can create really good things, and the players will get nothing but that from me. But I'll be there for them, I'll support them, I'll give them everything they need, every tool that's required to help them get the right result on a Saturday.
I know there's been a lot of change here since you left. Obviously, things look different. The training ground, I'm told, looks completely different. Oh. But is the spirit still the same? Is it still what you remember?
Like, the feeling I get when I'm here is still absolutely the same. There's no denying that. I think the amount the town and the community and the fan base care about this football club hasn't changed. Speaking with Simon, obviously Simon's a fan, and the amount of love and care that he has for this football club is incredible. And David's done a brilliant job on building a really good squad and also making the changes that's been required here and at the training ground to give the players the best possible chance to succeed on a Saturday. Sometimes people don't get to see that. They want to see players, and they want to see performances on the pitch, but some of the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes is incredible, and it's transformational from what I've seen as a player here. So, as I said, it's our job on a wider aspect, holistically, to take excuses off the table for the players, and certainly now there'll be no excuses if performances don't improve.
Are you big on this place being more than just a football club, being a community hub, obviously, but getting the town behind and being for the people?
Absolutely. I mean, again, I've seen it firsthand. I think the two go hand in hand. I think when the football club succeeds, the town succeeds and thrives, and vice versa. And we both have to have a responsibility for that. It's a two-way street. We can't just rely on the fan base to pick us up. We have to pick them up as well. And once that starts to happen, as I said, I think we can create a really special bond again and make them proud of this team and proud of this football club again. And that's what I want to do and what I want to achieve.
When you left in 2013, was it on your mind, let's see you later, not a firm goodbye?
Yeah, mate. I felt like it was too early. I felt like I had unfinished business. But in hindsight, that was just my journey. And as I said, I've always felt like I was going to return at some point. And as a coach, this job's been available a few times and I've been linked with it a few times, and I've always felt like I was ready, but in hindsight I wasn't. The coach I am now is much better and completely different to the one I was last year, let alone 4, 5, 6 years ago. So I feel like I'm ready for it now. I feel like I can give it what it deserves, and hopefully we're sat here in years to come, because I want to be here a long time and create something really special, and we can say, yeah, that it was my time, and it's been a huge success.
Yeah, has it always been back in your mind, I want to end up here as a coach? This is, would be the dream kind of job.
Yeah, I've got to say, like, this is one of my life goals that's been achieved, and that's probably why I can't stop smiling. But yeah, as I said, I didn't want this job on emotion. I wanted it on a meritocracy. I wanted to be the best guy out there for this football club, and I believe that I am. I believe what I can bring right now can really help, and nothing I've seen so far being in and around the players has changed that mindset. I'm excited to see what I can bring alongside the rest of the staff, who I think are extremely talented as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll see improvement really quickly. I urge some caution because of the injury list and some patience and calmness. But I think pretty quickly everyone's going to see what this football club should stand for out on the grass, and that's what's most important to me.
I know some people, with your reputation, strong reputation at the club, might think, as a manager, I don't want to risk that, but it's actually your determination to succeed and obviously that ambition to do well here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that gives me some credit with the fan base because of what's happened before, but I'm not here to live off the past. I'm here to create new memories. I want to be remembered as Ian Evatt, the head coach, as well as Ian Evatt, the player, and they are two separate entities. I want to do this job justice and prove to everyone just how good I am at this job. I think I'm good. I think I have a lot to give, a lot to offer. I think I've had a huge time of reflection and can do things better, and I will do things better. And yeah, just bring a different side to me, to this fan base in this football club than what they've seen before. I'm excited to do that, and as I said, hopefully we can see some success pretty quickly.
How much, looking back, does obviously Simon Grace and Ian Holloway, the managers you enjoyed success here under, how much do they sort of influence you long term? You look back to what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite topical at the moment because I don't think the game's actually ever changed. I think the game's the game. Obviously the terminology's changed, but the ideology hasn't changed. I think just as a player, what you do is you pick up things from different managers that you worked under, things that you didn't like, things that you did like, and put that together in your mind as to the way that you want to move forwards and the way that you want to work, and that's what I've done. And I have taken things from all of the coaches and managers I've worked under. Obviously with Ollie, like, he's just a different breed. He taught me the importance of culture, environment, mentality more than any other coach, separately to the tactical side of it. But if you can have that and have that togetherness, that magical things can be achieved. So if we can create that somehow, that togetherness, and I mean holistically, the fan base, the senior management team, Simon, the owner, the players, everyone, all the staff, if we can come together, work together and row the same boat, so to speak, that you can do brilliant things. On top of that, if we can start adding some of the modern ideology, some of the tactical detail that I believe I can bring to the table, I think we can achieve really good things together, and that's what I want to see, really. I just want this club to get out of the mire we're in at the moment and then start to look forwards.
Is culture, and obviously it's mentioned a lot in sport now, but how important is that, and is it a hard thing to sort of build quickly?
It is a hard thing, and it's a hard thing in the modern day, in the modern world, because I think it's a societal problem. I think we've become very selfish in our thought process and mindset. I think it's a lot more me rather than we at the moment, and we need to flip that and understand our responsibility of what we are to this football club. We're custodians. We need to make sure that we leave it in a much better place than when we found it. And as I said, once you get that togetherness, it really is palpable, and you can feel it, and it almost gives you a sense of being indestructible. And then if you can add in the other bits, the more technical bits, the world's your oyster, really. You'll have takeoff, and that's my job, to sell that to the players, to make them understand the importance of that. But what I've seen so far, I've got to say, they're a really good bunch. They're a really nice bunch, but in some ways too nice. I'm happy for them to have that niceness and that human side of them off the pitch, But on the pitch, I want them to turn into different people. I want them to want to win at all costs. And if you can do that and create that, then, as I said, we'll see progression really quickly.
Yeah, probably in any other walk of life, you won't want to say, I want a bit of nastiness in our players, I want that bit of, grit, but that is important when you're out on the field to compete that way.
It's absolutely okay, provided you do it in the right way. I want us to be competitive. As I said, I want us to attack with and without the ball. We should be competitive. We should want to win. We should have that insatiable desire to do well. But then off the pitch, we want to be human. We want to have empathy. We want to connect with our fan base. We want to give back. But yeah, I want to see that nasty side. I want for them to understand that having challenging, honest conversations isn't a negative. It's where growth happens. It's okay to criticise, providing it's for the good of the cause. There's no point in personal insults. That's not going to get us anywhere. But if we're just trying to give information to make the team better, then that's what's required. The difference between feedback and critique is just the way you hear it and interpret it. And I've got to get them in a place and space where everything that we say to each other, player to player or staff to player, is deemed and seen as feedback. And if we can do that, then we're going to get better, and we're going to get better quickly.
I know you said you didn't want the job based on your history, but it might not help in a football sense, but in terms of culture and the environment, yourself, Stephen Craney, obviously Stephen Dobbin, Steve Banks around here, people who know the club, that must be a huge, help that you know what it's all about here.
Yeah, I understand what the club is. I understand what that badge means. I understand what it means to the town. I understand what it means to the community, and I have to get that across to the players. But I also can't keep talking to the players about the past. I've got to make sure that they understand what that means and they have a respect for it. But I also want them to understand what they can create, and I want them to be excited by that. I want them to be excited by, they're the ones that are being discussed and spoken about 10, 15 years down the line. They have that chance, they have that opportunity, and hopefully they'll take it.
I know at Bolton at the end, you was obviously focused on wing back and that kind of system. Do you come here with sort of a set ideology of how you want to play, or are you more flexible? Do you come here thinking, at the moment you play, you do have to work with what you've got,
yeah.
But do you have a place where you want to get to this style of play?
Look, I've played every system as a coach. I've played 4-2-3-1, I've played 4-3-3, I've played 3-4-3, I've played 3-5-2. I think it's really important that we don't get locked down into one system. You have to be fluid, you have to be innovative tactically. The game changes all the time, and in game you can be in different systems, and I think that's what really everyone's focus should be on, that whatever system we start the game with, it's probably not going to be like that in game. We're going to tactically change to try and combat the opposition's plan, and it's my job and duty as a coach to give the players the solutions to every tactical plan the opposition can have. Obviously that's not going to happen day one, but as I said, as we evolve and grow and progress, I think you'll see that fluidity and innovativeness. I remember, again, going back to the past, I was a centre-back that was overlapping long before the days of Chris Wilder's Sheffield United team, we had that freedom and licence to just play fearless front foot football, and that's what I want us to get to.
Is it head-scratching that this team is bottom of the table, this club is bottom, considering obviously the investment that's gone in, the optimism that's around the place?
I think it's a reality check. I think it just shows you that you can't ever take things for granted in football. There has been huge investment on and off the pitch at this football club, and Simon and David Downs should get a lot of credit for that. But the players have to take a responsibility that we are where we are, and things haven't been going well or going right. Obviously, somebody's lost a job because of it, and that's not nice. And that's just the nature of football. But for me, it should never be down to one individual. It's a collective. And as I said, as long as we all take ownership of that, try and understand what's been going wrong and correct it moving forwards, then that will do for me. As I said, I know this football club better than most, and I know what's required. I know what the fans want to see. I know what the owner wants to see. I know what David wants to see. And it's down to me to create it. I've been recruited to turn this around, and I have great confidence that I can do so.